There is a building in Baltimore, Maryland that has a name on the front door that most Americans have never paid much attention to: the Social Security Administration. And inside that building and the agencies it talks to every day, Medicare, Medicaid, the VA, the Department of Energy, there is something most retired Americans don't realize. Money. Billions of dollars, already budgeted, already approved by Congress, sitting in 7 different programs. Programs the government built specifically for people over 65. Programs the government would prefer you claim. And depending on which study you look at, somewhere between 2 and 5 million Americans who qualify for these benefits right now, today, have never filed a single piece of paperwork to claim them. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to walk you through all 7. The exact dollar amounts for 2026, who qualifies, and the websites where you apply. Because if you, or your husband, or your wife, or your father are over 65 and reading the news every month worrying about the cost of groceries, there is a very real chance the government already owes you money. You just haven't asked for it yet. By the end of this video, you'll know the name of every program, the income limit for each, the monthly dollar amount each one pays, and the exact .gov website where you go to apply. No fluff, no middlemen, no paid services. Just the 7 benefits, the numbers, and the steps. The first program is called the Medicare Savings Programs. Most people have never heard the name, but here is what it does. If you qualify for the top tier, called QMB, the Qualified Medicare Beneficiary Program, the state pays your Medicare Part B premium for you. In 2026, that premium is $202.90 a month. That is $2,434.80 a year. The state also pays your Part A premium if you have one. It pays your Medicare deductibles. It pays your copays. It pays your coinsurance. And while you are enrolled in QMB, no Medicare provider is legally allowed to bill you for any service Medicare covers. So who qualifies? In 2026, for the 48 mainland states, the QMB income limit is roughly $1,350 a month if you're single, $1,824 a month if you're a married couple. There's a $20 general income disregard, which means in practice the cutoff is a little higher than that. The asset limit is around $9,950 if you're single and $14,910 if you're married. And that does not count your house or your car. Now here is the part most people don't realize. Even if you make a little more than that, there are 2 other tiers of the same program, SLMB and QI, with higher income limits, and they still pay your full Part B premium every month. That's still over $2,400 a year back in your pocket. If you qualify for any of the 3, you also get automatically enrolled in something called Extra Help, which is benefit number 2, and we'll get to it in a moment. But here's the kicker. Even though these programs exist in all 50 states, only about half of the people who qualify are enrolled. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services estimates billions of dollars in Medicare premium relief is going unclaimed every single year. The reason isn't the eligibility rules. It's that the program is run through each state's Medicaid office, not through Medicare itself, and most people never think to look there. You apply at your state Medicaid office, not at medicare.gov. To find your state's office, go to medicare.gov/basics/costs/help/Medicare-savings-programs. That page has every state's contact information. That covers your premiums and your doctor visits. But what about your prescriptions? That's where the next one comes in. Benefit number 2 is called Extra Help. The official government name is the Part D Low Income Subsidy, or LIS, and the Social Security Administration estimates Extra Help is worth about $5,700 a year per person. Here is what it does. If you qualify, your Medicare Part D prescription drug premium drops to 0 in most cases. Your Part D deductible drops to 0. And every prescription you fill is capped at $5.10 for a generic drug and $12.65 for a brand-name drug. Once your out-of-pocket spending hits $2,100 in 2026, every covered prescription is free for the rest of the year because of a cap that Congress passed in the Inflation Reduction Act. In 2026, you qualify if your annual income is below $23,475 if you're single, or below $31,725 if you're a married couple. Resources, meaning your savings and investments, must be below roughly $18,090 single and $36,100 married. And again, that doesn't count your home, your car, or your household goods. Here's the unfair part. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services tracks how many people qualify for extra help versus how many actually receive it. The latest figures suggest somewhere between 2 and 3 million eligible Americans are not enrolled. Many of them are paying full price for medications every month that the federal government would pay for if they applied. You apply at ssa.gov/extrahelp or by calling 1-800-772-1213. Processing usually takes 30 to 60 days, and if you're approved, the benefit is backdated to the day you applied. So even the processing delay doesn't cost you anything. That handles your medical bills and your prescriptions. But the government has also budgeted money for something else most retirees pay out of pocket: heating and cooling. Benefit number 3 is the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Everyone calls it LIHEAP, pronounced LIHEAP, and in fiscal year 2026, Congress funded it with approximately $4.05 billion. That money is divided up among all 50 states. Each state then runs its own LIHEAP program. The federal eligibility rule is that you qualify if your household income is at or below 150% of the federal poverty level, or 60% of your state's median income, whichever is higher. So in most states, a single retiree with an income under roughly $23,000 a year will qualify. A two-person household with an income under about $31,000 will qualify. The benefit varies by state and by the cost of energy where you live, but the typical heating benefit is several $100s. Some states pay over $1,000 per household per year for heating, with separate cooling assistance during the summer. And almost every state gives priority to households where someone is 60 or older. Here's the catch. LIHEAP funds are first come, first served. When a state's funding runs out, it stops issuing payments, even to people who would have qualified. Many states open their application window in October or November. Some don't open until later. If you wait until your bill is past due, you may already be too late for the season. You apply through your state's LIHEAP office. The fastest way to find yours is to call 211 from any phone in the United States or go to energyhelp.us. Both will direct you to the right state-level program. Now, LIHEAP pays your bill once. But what if your home is the reason your bill is so high to begin with? That's where benefit number 4 comes in. Benefit number 4 is the Weatherization Assistance Program, WAP for short. It is run by the Department of Energy, and according to the DOE's own figures, the program has helped over 7.2 million low-income households since 1976. And the average household saves $372 or more on their energy bill every single year. For the rest of the time, they live in the home. Here is what the program does. A certified energy auditor comes to your house for free. They run a blower door test to measure how much outside air is leaking into your home. They inspect your attic, your walls, your heating system, your hot water tank. Then they hire a contractor, also for free with no cost to you, to install attic insulation, wall insulation, weather stripping, a new energy-efficient furnace if yours is failing, and sometimes even a new refrigerator if your old one is inefficient. Average amount of work done on a single home? Several $1,000s worth, depending on the state. In Massachusetts, the average is over $4,700 per household. You pay nothing. You qualify automatically if you already receive LIHEAP SSI, or in many states, SNAP. Otherwise, the federal income cutoff is 200% of the federal poverty level, which is significantly higher than LIHEAP. So if you make a little too much for LIHEAP, you may still qualify for weatherization. Renters qualify too with the landlord's permission. Priority goes to elderly households, households with someone disabled, and households with young children. Which means if you're over 65 and you apply, you go to the front of the line. You apply at energy.gov/SCEP/WAP and select your state from the map. That covers your house. Now, let's talk about what happens when you turn 65 and your county property tax bill arrives. Benefit number 5 is the senior property tax exemption. And this one is unusual because almost every state has it. Every state runs it differently, and almost nobody applies until somebody tells them to. In Alabama, homeowners 65 and older are exempt from the state portion of their property taxes entirely. In Florida, seniors with a primary residence get an additional homestead exemption of up to $50,000 off their assessed home value. In Texas, when you turn 65, your school district property tax can be frozen at the level it was the year you applied, even if home values double in your neighborhood. In Colorado, seniors age 65 and older who have lived in their home for at least 10 years can exempt 50% of the first $200,000 of the home's value. In Washington, D.C., qualifying seniors get a 50% reduction on their property tax bill, with annual increases capped at 2%. The list goes on. New York, Georgia, New Jersey, Tennessee, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Hawaii, Alaska, which exempts the first $150,000 of assessed value for homeowners 65 and over. But here is what almost every state has in common. The exemption is not automatic. You have to apply. And in most states, you have to reapply or at least recertify your income every year or every few years. And if you miss the deadline, which is usually in the spring, you wait until the next year. There is no retroactive refund. The money you overpaid is gone. The single best place to start is your county assessor's website. Just search the name of your county, followed by the words assessor and senior exemption. Or call your county tax office directly. The savings range from a few $100s a year to several thousand. Over a decade or two of retirement, that adds up to real money. Benefit number 6 is the Social Security spousal benefit. According to the Nationwide Retirement Institute's annual Social Security survey, half of all adults don't know this benefit exists if they're divorced. 30% don't know it exists even when they're still married. Here's the rule. If you are married and your spouse is receiving Social Security retirement benefits, you can claim a spousal benefit worth up to 50% of your spouse's full retirement age benefit. You don't need a work history of your own. You don't have to have ever held a job. If your own retirement benefit, based on your own earnings record, is lower than half of your spouse's, Social Security pays you the difference. You get whichever is higher, not both. And here's the part most people miss. If you are divorced, you may still qualify. The rules. You must have been married for at least 10 years. You must currently be unmarried. You must be at least 62 years old. And you must have been divorced for at least 2 years if your ex-spouse hasn't filed for benefits yet. That's it. It doesn't matter if your ex-spouse has remarried. It doesn't reduce their benefit. It doesn't affect their current spouse's benefit. And in most cases, the Social Security Administration will not even contact your ex-spouse to tell them you've claimed. If your ex-spouse passes away, the same record that gave you up to 50% as a divorced spouse now gives you up to 100% as a surviving divorced spouse. The marriage still needs to have lasted 10 years. You still need to meet the unmarried rule, with some exceptions for remarriage after age 60. You apply at ssa.gov. If you're already receiving your own retirement benefit, call the SSA at 1-800-772-1213 and tell them you want to file for spousal benefits on a current or former spouse's record. They will check both records and pay you whichever is higher. One last one. Benefit number 7 is for veterans. And the reason it's on this list is that the rules for this one are almost completely opposite of what most veterans assume. The benefit is called the VA pension. And the enhanced version, with what's called aid and attendance, can pay up to $2,874 a month, tax-free, to a wartime veteran in 2026, or up to $1,851 a month to a surviving spouse. The misunderstanding is the word wartime. To qualify, the veteran needs to have served at least 90 days of active duty. with at least one of those days falling during a recognized wartime period. That includes World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, and several other conflicts. Most veterans of the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s served at least one day during a recognized wartime period. You do not need to have served in combat. You do not need to have been deployed overseas. You do not need to have a service-connected injury. You just need to have been in the military, in uniform, during one of those windows. The basic pension is for wartime veterans 65 or older with limited income. The aid and attendance enhancement is added on top if the veteran needs help with daily activities like bathing or dressing, or lives in an assisted living facility, or has a doctor's certification of cognitive impairment. The net worth limit for 2026 is $163,699. And importantly, that does not include the value of your primary residence or your personal belongings. The VA's own communications acknowledge that this is one of the most underused benefits in the entire department. Tens of thousands of eligible wartime veterans and surviving spouses are not enrolled. You apply by filing VA Form 21-2680 online at va.gov/pension or in person at any VA regional office. There is no charge to apply, and there is no legitimate paid service that gets you faster results than applying directly. So there they are, 7 programs. Let me give you the headline number for each one more time. Medicare Savings Programs. Pays your Part B premium of $202.90 a month, plus deductibles, plus copays. Apply at your state Medicaid office. Extra Help. Caps your prescriptions at $12.65 or less. Apply at ssa.gov/extrahelp. LIHEAP, several $100s a year toward heating and cooling. Apply by calling 211 or visiting energyhelp.us. Weatherization Assistance, free home insulation and energy upgrades. Average value over $4,000. Apply at energy.gov/SCEP/WAP. Senior property tax exemption varies by state, but real money every year. Apply at your county assessor's office. Social Security spousal benefits, up to 50% of your spouse's or ex-spouse's full benefit. Apply at ssa.gov. VA, pension with aid and attendance, up to $2,874 a month tax-free for wartime veterans, even without combat service. Apply at va.gov/pension. Every one of these programs is already funded. Every one has eligibility rules a real human being can read in 15 minutes. And everyone is sitting there, every month, paying out money to the people who applied, while the people who didn't wonder why retirement feels so tight. If this helped, I'll be going deep on each one of these in future videos, including Social Security spousal benefits in much more detail and the Medicare Savings Programs state by state. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'm posting new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Take care and go apply.